Welcome to BioTalk, where you will learn all you need to know from your very own BioBud. Have you ever wondered how the scent of one spray of perfume can spread from one side of your room to another? Well, the scent spreads through a process called diffusion. Now, what is diffusion? Diffusion is the overall movement of a substance traveling down its concentration gradient. In other words, a substance moves from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration until the concentrations of both areas become equal. So when you spray perfume in a corner, the amount of perfume particles will be higher in the spot you just sprayed. They will then spread on their own and diffuse to areas that have a lower amount of perfume particles until the amount of perfume particles is equal throughout the whole room. Diffusion is most important in living things because it is how oxygen, carbon dioxide, water, and other important molecules move in and out of our cells. Let's zoom into the cell membrane. The cell membrane provides security for the cell and is selectively permeable. This means that the cell membrane gets to decide what comes in and out of the cell in order to maintain homeostasis. And what is homeostasis? Homeostasis is the maintenance of stable internal conditions in order to have a well-functioning environment. You may ask, well, how does selective permeability and homeostasis relate to diffusion? A selectively permeable membrane, or in this case the security guard, regulates what enters and exits the cell, as well as how much of each substance can pass through at a time. When maintaining homeostasis, a selectively permeable membrane is important to have. It's important because it helps the cell's ability to obtain the right nutrients and eliminate toxic waste, which will then determine how well the cell will function. After the cell membrane has decided what can pass through, substances move in and out of the cell by crossing the cell membrane, but they use different types of diffusion to cross. Wow, that was a lot. Okay, stay with me. Next, let's talk about the two types of diffusion. Simple diffusion is when molecules move from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration by directly passing through the cell membrane. During simple diffusion, smaller nonpolar molecules are able to pass through the cell membrane freely. Oxygen and carbon dioxide molecules diffuse in and out of our cells using simple diffusion. Simple diffusion is considered passive transport because it doesn't require ATP energy to move molecules across the cell membrane. The other type of diffusion is called facilitated diffusion. Facilitated diffusion is when molecules move from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration across the cell membrane, but with the help of membrane proteins. During facilitated diffusion, bigger molecules move across the cell membrane with the assistance of proteins embedded in the cell membrane. But what kinds of proteins help with facilitated diffusion? Those proteins would be protein channels and carrier proteins. Molecules like glucose diffuse with the help of protein channels. These protein channels span across the membrane as they have one end in the extracellular fluid and the other end leading molecules into the cytoplasm. Ions also diffuse using facilitated diffusion, but they diffuse with the help of carrier proteins. Carrier proteins usually have a binding site for specific ions, so when the ion binds to the active site of a carrier protein, the carrier protein changes shape and releases the ion on the other side of the membrane. Although these proteins help substances diffuse across the cell membrane, facilitated diffusion is still considered passive transport because it doesn't require ATP energy. If you would like to learn more about the diffusion of water, also known as osmosis, be sure to check out my classmate's video. Thanks for watching.